About a decade ago, I was at the end of my rope. I'll spill the tea later in this video and tell you the whole story, but I ended up quiet quitting on trying to make more money. Now I make more than I ever have. My story is why I believe more people should consider quiet quitting on the pursuit of making more money. It might even be a matter of life and death. And yes, you're in the right place. This is still the place to learn about wealth building. Hello, and welcome to the Wealth Wisdom Financial Podcast. We believe when conventional financial thinking doesn't get you where you want to go, you need wealth wisdom. Please hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching on YouTube, we'd love to see you give us a like on this video and comment below. I am going to get very real today. So if this is something you're not ready to get real with, because I'm going to be sharing some things I've never shared publicly and even to some of my closest friends. Consider this a trigger warning around mental health and suicide. And totally skip this episode if that would be too much for you. But if you would like that reminder that you're not alone, that others have experienced hard times too, and that there's a better side to life, then this episode I created for you. I promise I'm going to get to something very positive by the end. But with talks of recession, layoffs, and economic uncertainty in general, I wanted to bring you some helpful wisdom from my own personal experience that I hope will brighten your day and show you a path forward. Now, I don't remember the exact night, but let me give you the circumstance. We had our own business, but I also ran a nonprofit to help keep our income stable. One of the things I had to do with this nonprofit was stay late at night for activities and then close up the building when everyone else was gone. Now, we lived in Chicago and we only lived 4 blocks from the nonprofit. So I would walk home and there was a police station about halfway between. So I felt comfortable, never felt my safety was threatened when I would walk home 11 p.m., sometimes after midnight. But on one of those nights, as I was walking just past the police station, I was almost home when an idea popped into my head. I thought if I keep walking straight rather than turning right to go to our apartment, I'm going to end up in a part of the city that there's a chance someone would take my life. And honestly, I'd be okay with that. I almost kept walking, but thankfully, for some reason, I still made the turn home. The next day, I took an online quiz, discovered I had a lot of the symptoms of depression, and it was that turning point, awareness of what was really going on that allowed me to start caring for myself so that I wouldn't face that temptation to put myself in greater danger just to avoid living the life that I had created. I would discover later that I'm one of the 42% of millennials who has experienced suicidal thoughts. That's almost half of my generation. I'm not alone. You're not alone. There are too many of us who have not just experienced those thoughts, but have acted on them too. And it's not just our generation. I went to a funeral recently of a 60 something who died by suicide. It's part of why this is coming back up for me. This is a very real thing. In researching this episode, I discovered that a person dies by suicide about every 11 minutes in the United States. This is serious. This is life and death. And here's the thing that gets me most. Too many people assume the root is money. They assume we get all wrapped up in money that it destroys our mental and physical health. Now, there might be some correlation. In the year 2000, the Quarterly Journal of Economics published a paper that showed that the suicide rate was predicted to increase by 1.3% for every percentage point increase in the unemployment rate. And then another paper in 2015 looked back at the Great Recession, and they found that that was more or less true, that when unemployment rates increased during the Great Recession, suicide rates did as well. But correlation does not mean causation. For example, Australia had increased unemployment during the Great Recession too, but not an increase in their suicide rate. Perhaps it was because they had a better support system in place for the unemployed than we do here in the United States. And perhaps it's for a totally different reason. Consider this, though, from Scientific American. Quote, the most common pathway to suicide is through depression, which afflicts two-thirds of all people who kill themselves. And then follow that up with this quote from Harvard Health. It's often said that depression results from a chemical imbalance, but that figure of speech doesn't capture how complex the disease is. Research suggests that depression doesn't spring from simply having too much or too little of certain brain chemicals. Rather, there are many possible causes of depression, including faulty mood regulation by the brain, genetic vulnerability, and stressful life events. It's believed that several of these forces interact to bring on depression. So, when you consider that depression is one of the key indicators of suicide and that there's several forces that bring on depression, this the conclusion becomes that there's probably several forces needed to prevent and heal depression. Therapies of all different kinds exist for depression. Talk therapy, outdoor time, meditation, medication, yoga, all kinds of different things. Love all of those. We want to throw another one into the mix to be like, what if you tried this? Would this help you? We're going to phrase it in the form of a question. Can you stop? Can you stop trying to make more money? Can you stop vying for the next promotion? Can you stop scaling your business? Can you stop reinvesting all your profit to get a bigger portfolio? Can you stop? This comes from, for me, a big part of why I was depressed and had suicidal thoughts is because I felt like I was backed into a corner. I had to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I was forced to stay in the life I had created and continue pursuing bigger, larger, more. If something went wrong, say a great recession, a downturn in just my business, a loss of that nonprofit role, I could have spiraled out of control. The way I got out of it was to stop going through the motions and assuming I had to keep doing what I was doing. At first, it was a small stopping, a slight internal shift that something had to change. I now have been given words to it, quiet quitting. Internally, I quit trying to make more, do better, get through it. And then I stopped staying the same. I started doing the thing that brings me the most joy. I started learning. I intentionally sought out learning that would help me stop continuing how I was and how I could do something different. It was a game changer. It brought me hope. It brought me a way out. Yes, I did eventually make more money because of this experience of stopping trying to make more and focus on my mental and physical health. Perhaps that'll be true for you too. I hope it is. I'm very glad that I've invested in my whole self, not just my financial life. And my whole life is better for it. In some ways, I have financial freedom because money doesn't rule my life anymore. I work because I enjoy it. I have a cushion where I could stop anything at any time for any reason. No more being forced into a corner. And I'm determined never to go back to being forced to do anything or feeling like there's no way out. And this really is why Brandon and I do what we do now. We take every financial conversation seriously because we know that there are way more important things than money. And if we can be a small part of bringing someone hope and showing them there is a way out of the corner they feel like they're in, then we're doing the work that we want to be doing. So, what would it look like for you to ask, can I stop? Or what if I quiet quit? Is there anything in your life that you can't stop? What if you could? And if you can't, what if your attitude about it shifted? Now keep following that bunny trail and see where it leads out of the corner, right? And please don't forget, you can always call or text the number 988 to talk to someone at the Suicide and Crisis Hotline. Even if you're walking on the street in Chicago around midnight, the experts are there for you 24/7. Again, that number is 988. Now, today's episode might not be for you. You might have listened this far because there's someone in your life that you know is feeling forced into a corner. They need to stop something, but they can't. You might see this idea of quiet quitting being a game changer for them. If almost half of millennials have suicidal thoughts at some point during their lives, Chances are there are people in your life that might be going through that now, and you don't even know it. We ask you to do two things. The first, we need more messages like this out in the world. Please share this episode on your favorite social media platform. You never know who's going to see it, listen to it, watch it, and quiet quit and making more money and totally transform their lives. You might also think of someone in your life that feels stuck and do something special with them. Notice I said with, not for. Take them to dinner, invite them over to a meal, go for a walk in the park together. There's only one rule to doing something with them. Don't try to solve their problem. Just make sure they know that you love and care for them and you're glad that they're part of your life. In the words of Meghan Markle, perhaps you simply ask them, "Are you okay?" And then listen. Are you okay? Thanks for joining us. Hit that subscribe button. We hope you live long and profit. Want to be clear, we're not giving any therapeutic or psychology advice here. We want you to talk to the experts, schedule that appointment, dial 988, do whatever you need for yourself, and then go spread that love and that hope with the world. We'll see you next time.